Welcome to Body by Design. I'm your host, Blue Driver, a women's strength training and metabolism coach. I went from years suffering hormone imbalances, looking soft and bloated, to symptom-free and building muscle for a toned athletic physique. Since then, I've made it my mission to empower women to take control of their own health, hormones and body composition. So grab a cup of coffee and let's build your body by design. Welcome back to the Body by Design podcast. And today I've got a very special guest, Tracey Hines. She is one of my longtime clients that's had some amazing results. So welcome, Tracey. Thanks for joining me.
Thanks heaps, Lou. It's great to be here with you today.
So give me a little bit of a background on you so everyone can hear kind of where you came from, what you came here for, and then we'll get into what your journey's been like.
Yeah, okay. So I am a bit of a workaholic, and I'm a midwife and nurse and ex-health executive and have a consultancy business and write and do all sorts of, full-on things. And I think in all of my work, I actually, over the years, particularly after the kids grew up, I pretty much have lost who I was. And I think even if I think about raising children, I think I really lost myself through there and I kind of found my way back again. And then being free once the kids were grown up to actually do all these amazing creative things that I love to do in the work environment, I just completely focused on work. But that said, I'm an outdoors person, and one of the things that I realised about a bit over a year ago was I was working really, really hard. I was really stressed. I wasn't sleeping. I was having hot flushes. It was really full on craziness. I was grinding my teeth to the point where I've had 2 crowns on my teeth.
Wow.
To keep them in my head. Just crazy stuff. So when I returned to home after working away for a little bit, I realised that not only had I put on a huge amount of weight, in a very short space of time, I was actually very weak as well, and I was super stressed. So and I had a really significant 0 birthday coming up, and I was a year out from that, and I thought, oh my gosh, I've got to do something. So
can we talk about how old you are? Do you mind sharing?
Yeah, no, not at all. Yeah, I've just turned 60.
Yay.
So, yeah.
And he deadlifts like a beast, let me tell you. I love it.
It's exciting. Actually, I've embraced being 60 so much more than any of my other 0 birthdays. It's been really funny. I actually really love being 60 because I feel like, oh, who cares? Like I go into the gym now and I don't care. And people are really kind to me. I think they think I'm like their mother or something.
Anyway, know what? People in gyms are kind though. Like there's so many women that are really conscious about getting into the gym, but when you actually don't care and you're open and people see that and you're a bit more receptive, you actually find out that people quite admire beginners in the gym because it's hard to get started, and the people who have been there for a long time knows what it takes, so they're not judging, they're actually admiring your journey, the beginning of it.
Well, I'll tell you about my gym journey in a minute, but you know a lot about my gym journey, but it is a bit funny.
So for a bit of background for me and Tracey, I actually met Tracey, it'll be about 2 years ago, 18 months, 2 years ago, something like that.
2 years ago.
Tracey came in and did some consulting work where I was working at the time, and that's how we met. And we had quite a bit of a connection because you had gotten into hearing about the pro-metabolic foods, and as a nurse you were like, though there's been all this education about lots of broccoli and salads and nuts and all the rest of it, when you started listening to the principles of pro-metabolic and the whys behind it, you were like, even as a nurse, you were like, that makes total sense that it supports your body that way. And I think we made quite a connection like that. And obviously, your journey went on, you went home, and then I started my business from there. And yeah, here we are. Tracey was like, I'm in.
I'm
She
in.
knew that I was pretty much living those principles when we met. I was very much deep into that. So she was very curious about it. So it was really awesome to see your journey unfold from there. And it's been a pleasure being part of it.
Yeah, thanks, Lou. It's honestly been fantastic working with you, and I think all of it was obviously meant to be. We would not have. I was just looking for something, and through my life, I'd been on all of the weight loss things. You know, like everybody says, been on all the short-term journeys, and really the pro-metabolic things really rang with me because that's how we lived when I was a kid.
Yeah.
You know, we ate dairy, we ate full fat stuff, like mum cooked bacon, we had eggs, we had all sorts of things.
Food was left less tampered with. It wasn't all this packaged stuff with additives,
yeah,
genetically modified and all this sort of stuff.
I know I'm going to age myself now, but I can remember when the first processed Legos tomato paste was released in Australia.
Wow, really? I use that stuff a lot. There's an organic clean one that I use, which is great as just, tomato concentrate, but that's amazing.
Yeah. And it was like devil's work, That's terrible. It's what I remember my aunts and my grandmother and my mother all sitting around talking about this stuff that's sitting on a shelf in the supermarket. Oh, that can't be good for you. Oh, that's terrible.
And how haven't we changed that? If it doesn't come off the supermarket shelf, a lot of people don't know what to do with it.
Yeah, that's right.
I feel like we're losing the art of cooking.
Most definitely. And that's what I love about working with you, because I'm not a particularly great cook, and I prefer to be outside than inside, but or definitely in the kitchen. But your recipes have taken me back in time because they're all proper whole food. And beef stroganoff, for goodness sake.
Yeah, love beef.
I made it the other morning in about 5 minutes flat into the slow cooker. Boom, off we go. And then I had this day.
We can still cook, but make it. So for me, I've for those who don't know, I've actually got a chefing background. So, I used to spend a lot of time doing elaborate meals when I had more time, but I had to really simplify things for time. But it's finding those really yummy foods that actually can be really simple. It doesn't have to be elaborate.
Yeah, that's right. And going back to, like this season, I've grown a heap of tomatoes just in my front garden, which sounds a bit bizarre, but that's where the sun was. So I've grown a heap of tomatoes, and we've had beautiful homemade passata.
Oh, nice.
Just easy stuff. It's so simple. It's so refreshing to get back to, you've said to me a few times, I'm like, oh my God, I don't know what to have for lunch. Well, have some cheese, have some chicken, have some fruit, have something simple. If you don't know, it's simple, good, wholesome food. And that has been a huge key to actually this journey of losing weight and getting stronger. It's amazing. Like I can sleep now. Mind you, I still have to put a bit of work into the sleep. But when I do the right things and eat appropriately during the day and spread everything out, that's the other thing that you taught me.
That blood sugar balance.
How to spread out my proteins, my carbs, and we might talk about my little disaster this week.
Yeah, lessons learned. We'll talk about that.
Lessons learned. It makes such a difference to how I sleep in the evenings, and everything that I do, how clearly I think, how I feel. I can be more present for the people that I'm with, for my family, everything. It's just really wonderful.
I actually see a difference in how you think. So I reflect back to when we were working together. Look, I will say, and we won't get into too much detail around it, but it was a very chaotic, stressful environment, which is hard for anyone. But there was that added layer of friedness. to you.
Yeah.
You would come back from a meeting, you would be like, oh, and I haven't even eaten. And you could just see that fried level in your brain going on. And now when I see you talk about stressful situations and being busy, you can still see that you're busy and still see that, you know, times can be stressful, but there's not that real fried, chaotic feel about you. It's very different.
It's very, very different. And from my end, I was beginning to think with my brain, oh my gosh, you know, have I got some sort of degenerative brain disease going on? And really all it was inadequate nutrition and not exercising properly to support my body and to actually support my brain and to support my cells to do what I'm expecting them to do.
Yeah.
It's an interesting cycle, that cycle. I think one of the biggest things is, for me personally, and I know that other people really love this, but fasting for me and doing keto type eating has been horrendous. I think I've spent quite a few years trying to do that, and all I've done is put on weight and fried my brain to the point where I really don't think, in that whole time that I was working in that environment with you, I don't think that my brain really unraveled at all. And you know, it's just been a really different process. It's really nice to feel like this now. And I think about how I was feeling previously and how I had to function. I mean, I can remember, I can remember even before I was working with you, you know, driving in my car, doing rural work, driving in my car, having a colleague beside me. She'd be on the computer. We'd be doing something on the computer. I'd be taking, you know, lots of phone calls and doing meetings in the car, you know, pelting along at 110 kilometres an hour. I mean, really? Who would do that?
Yeah.
It's crazy. Like, who would even think that that's okay? You know, just jam it in, jam it in, jam it in. You've got to get it done. Da, 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 da.
Yeah. But you deal with things so much better. You get a better perspective on things when you have a clear thought process, and fueling us is really important. And, you know, when we talk about the right nutrition and giving our body what it needs, our bodies are really smart things and they're designed to survive. So if we've got not just inadequate calories, but actual inadequate nutrients in particular places, it will take everything into our survival functions, our brain processes, our cardio, our vascular, all those sorts of things. Muscle is a luxury item. We know that muscle helps us shed fat, but it won't build that muscle if it doesn't have enough nutrients, because it's busy putting it all into surviving. It's like, you know, you wouldn't go out and buy a Louis Vuitton handbag if you couldn't pay your electricity bill. I always think about nutrient. Now, I also have a finance background, so I kind of think of nutrients like a budget.
Yeah.
Surprise, surprise, Tracey.
Way to do it. Yes, surprise, surprise.
And that's the way I think of it. You've got to fund the basics before you can do the luxury items. So if you want to build that muscle and get stronger, you've got to make sure you've got enough of everything, not just for the foundations, but for the additional. So let's talk a little bit about your stats, where you were, where you are now.
Okay. So I was so I'll just go with my height first. So I'm quite tall. I'm 175 centimeters tall. And when I started with you, I was 110 kilos. 110. I can't believe that. That was just the heaviest weight I have ever been. And it was not just like normal weight either. It was, you know, like my body began, you know, around my knees, around my thighs. It was all pitted and disgusting and floppy and hanging. And it wasn't very pleasant. I didn't like it at all. So now, and I was so weak. I had no muscle tone per se. That was the thing that really threw me. when I got home and got into my garden, I could barely, you know, do anything. It was crazy stuff. So, yeah, now I think I've lost close on 13 kilos.
Yeah.
But the best part of all, the best part is the muscle gain, which I think, if I'm right, is about 4 kilos. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's close to 5 kilos, I think now.
Five
So even though
kilos of
you've lost
muscle.
13, you've
Yeah.
gained that 4 or 5 kilos of muscle mass as well.
Yes.
It's skeletal muscle. So that's including your bones, your ligaments, and everything has
Yeah.
all increased. So that's
Yeah.
your bone density, which is really important as you age, and that increase in muscle mass to keep balance and strength and everything that you need. So you know, that's a huge increase to have.
Well, it blows me away every time I say it. And when I say it to my family, they just kind of look at me like they can't kind of take that in, you know, and neither can I. But I can feel it. So I said to my husband just the other day, I'd done these crazy leg presses and part of me frying myself. But I did these crazy leg presses. But the next day I could feel a muscle in my leg, in my thighs that I'd never felt before. So I know stuff's going on and my body shape's changed. It just feels so much better. It feels great to be strong. You know, I'll tell the gate story. We had a gate that blew off in a storm, and it was, you know, a steel construction with heavy palings on it. It was a big gate. So my husband's out there, you know, with the grinder and everything and bolts and everything. And he asked me to come out and hold the gate while he's trying to put together the hinges. And I'm going, whoa, with the gate.
Right up.
I nearly sent it, you know, into the universe. Like up she went. And he's like, "We did just drop that gate a bit." What are you doing?
Isn't it amazing how we come
the
in?
gate.
I think like you know, you like all of us start with, I need to lose some weight. I want to look better. I don't like this. And then as we go along this journey, all of a sudden it's like, wow, I never realized I could think better. Wow, I never realized how much energy I could have. And then that strength thing, it's not just like we feel so powerful in the gym, but that translates to life.
Strength for me is addictive.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? I love it.
That strength is so addictive. Being strong in my everyday environment is so addictive. You feel better. I get up out of bed. I feel like my body's contained, you know. I feel like I'm not flobbling out everywhere, you know. And look, I've still got a fair bit of weight to lose, fat to lose, that is. And that's also a different mindset for me, because I would always only be worried about what the number was on the scale.
But your measurements have moved dramatically, which is the big thing, isn't it?
Absolutely, the big thing. The centimetres that I've lost. Do you know have you got the data in front of you? Because
I actually haven't done your recent one, but the last time I did it, you were up at about 45 centimetres all round, and you've lost more since then. So Tracey started with, she came in and we just established a maintenance for her, got her moving, got her into the gym, and then it would become more of like a recomp. You were slowly you losing centimeters. The weight was kind of coming down a bit, but it was losing centimeters more than anything. But you're currently in a fat loss, and I haven't redone Tracey's centimeters since being in the fat loss. But last check, it was 45 centimeters, which is huge off of 5 measurements.
Yeah, wow, that's phenomenal. I mean, I can get in. The clothes are dropping off me now.
Yeah, that's awesome.
You know, it's really awesome. It's really, really good. And you know, I've always had this thing about being able to fit in an aeroplane seat comfortably.
Yeah.
And we're about to go traveling soon. Yeah, we're about to go to Japan next week. So I'm really excited because I know I'm going to fit into that aeroplane seat without squishing either side out, you know, out through the
nice
to the people next to me. It's a bit bizarre, but you know, if you've experienced that as a woman, it's horrible, and you know it's horrible. And yeah, I don't ever want to go there again. And this is the beauty of the work that I've done with you, Lou. It's not been a short fix. It's been
a 12-week program here.
a long journey. And when I started with you, became really clear to me quite fast that that's what it was going to be. And you mentioned the recomp, which I'd actually forgotten about. The recomposition phase was really interesting for me because I've heard, all the recomp, and you think, oh yeah, that sounds good, again, blah, 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 blah. But I did not understand what that meant. And the very first thing you did was put me up onto something ridiculous like 2,200 calories, which I hadn't eaten since I was a child because, calories will make you enormous and kill you.
We brought you in and we did a couple of increases with you, didn't we?
Yes,
in that time.
Yeah,
so your measurements were coming down, but your food was going up.
Yeah, like quite high. That 2,200 was the peak that we got to. Yeah. And that was just really hard for me to get my head around, but the results were happening. And it was phenomenal. And being able to get into the gym and start to push because I had the right type of nutrients, the right balance, the feeding my body for that baseline. Yeah. And then once it got comfortable that it was actually going to be fed properly for the first time in years, and then it started to build muscle. Yeah. I mean, it was so cool. It was so cool. But it does take time. And I very quickly worked out and committed to the fact that, and I've made this commitment that it was going to be 12 months, probably 2 years. And you and I have talked about that now. Yeah. And it has been nearly 12 months, I think, probably this month or next month, March.
March. March will be 12 months. And I mean, look, we've done 2 fat loss phases with you, 2 little sprints of fat loss phases, because we got you to a place where, those hot flushes are settled down, you are functioning really well. But most importantly, you had been building muscle. So you spent like 6 months more building muscle. And when you get some base in there, not only were you healing and all that sort of stuff, even if you come in without hormone issues or something like that, you've still got to build some muscle before you can get into that fat loss phase. You've got to have something there to continue to support you. And you worked really hard. And your initial journey wasn't, we always say it's not a linear process. It definitely was not linear for Tracey. So unfortunately, she had a couple of significant losses in her life. So you had your dad and your best friend's husband and your husband's mum as well. So there was that. And there was also a planned trip in there as well. Yeah. We were able, because you were in that recomp, so you were on a good amount of calories. When you're on a good amount of calories, you can flex your food and it's so much easier to manage. And you were able to, each time you had, because with the losses, you had to go away on trips and stuff, you were able to learn a little bit more each time you went away. I remember the first time you went away and you came back and you went, whoa, I didn't eat properly, nothing. And I think that was that after that first time, I saw a real turning point in you with nutrition. You were like, I've just realized how bad I feel. I feel like I did before because I wasn't eating properly. And then the next time you went away, it was like, well, I can't control what other people are doing, but I can control what goes in my mouth. And you're sending me little photos of all your prep getting ready to go. Right. And even when you couldn't prep your own food, you were still educated to make those wise choices.
That was so fascinating for me because you don't realize when you travel, and this is no offense to anybody out there who has businesses, restaurants, blah, blah. But when you go to even a restaurant, that is more tailored to providing better food, not just a takeaway type hamburger thing. Although I've learned that you can get a good, healthy hamburger, but you've got to be choosy. Yeah. But what I realized is I'd look at the meals because of what I was learning. I'd look at the meals and I think, well, gosh, I've got terrible carbohydrate here. It's disgusting, like chips or something disgusting, like
poor quality carbohydrate.
Poor quality, and poor quality oil. So you get poor quality carbohydrate, probably poor quality oil, although, I understand that that's just part of the world. And you get half-cooked veggies or overcooked veggies or a shitload of salad, for God's sake. It was all terrible and not enough protein. Not enough protein. Oh my goodness. The protein thing has blown me away. Has absolutely blown me away.
When you realize how much protein you need, you go out and you go, like, even if you go to, like a little cafe or whatever, and you're going to get yourself a chicken wrap or whatever, and you go, it's not really much chicken in there, is it?
No. Look, honestly, I've worked out, the old palm size, try and have a look. And I'll open up my wrap if I order a wrap or something or a sandwich. I'll have a quick look now and see and sort of compare. And sometimes I reckon you're lucky to get 30 grams.
Yep.
Chicken.
Yeah, really poor. Some places are better than others, and I think that's like you say, you now understand. If everyone worked on going, if I can get at least 100 grams of a clean protein, like whether it's steak or mince or chicken or prawn or whatever, but if you could work on 100 grams, you're going to get 25, 30 grams of protein out of it, and that's pretty good for traveling.
That's okay. Yeah, that's right. That's exactly.
But the whole process of you counting macros and weighing food, though some people go, oh, it's so restrictive. If you actually learn that skill, what it does is it educates you to be free, and trying to get people to understand that, because now you go, because I've weighed it so often at home and I know what I need and I know what makes me feel good, I can visualize what I put on at home is about 100 grams, and I can kind of visualize what I need when I'm out. Is it totally accurate? No. Is it harder to do when you're on a deficit and have some really specific goals? Absolutely. But when you're in a recomp or maintenance, or you've reached a place where your health is really good, going out and eating is actually not hard, because you know what to look for.
That's right. And depending on what I've got planned, I've got a couple of little things that I fall back on now. So if I find myself somehow, we'll go into Melbourne and we'll be doing things, and Rob will say to me, oh, let's go and have a coffee, let's go and have some lunch. Okay, well, that's great, but I know if I order, and I know this sounds bizarre, but eggs on sourdough, poached eggs on sourdough with a piece of bacon, I know I can see the eggs, I can see the sourdough, I know how much sourdough I want. If they give me 2 pieces, I just put one to the side. But I can
eat everything on your plate.
That is one of my great standby go-to meals if I'm particularly in a cut, which I'm doing now. That's one of my really good standby go-tos. And I've worked out too that scrambled eggs is actually not too bad, because they're also very lean on how much egg I'll put in there for you. So it's quite good. And that and a coffee, and I'm happy. I'm happy.
And it kind of fits your macros, fairly close to your macros. You can shuffle things away. So even if it's an impromptu thing, you actually learn to be able to manage that.
Yeah. Or if it's in the evening, the thing that I'll go for is steak.
Yeah.
Steak, potatoes, steak, baked potatoes, or steak and something. Even a steak and salad and, I don't know, a bread roll that I can see. Yeah. So I avoid them,
shitty deep fried chips in the crap oil. Yeah.
Yeah. And look, it might sound a bit boring, but honestly, I don't find it boring. And I find...
It sounds boring when you say it. Like when I say I have chicken and fruit and cheese for lunch every day, I do things to change it up though. So at the moment, I have a little bit of rice, I've got all the tropical fruits, I'm dicing chicken up, I put a different spice on it, and I'm using a pineapple sauce with it at the moment as well. So it's a spicy pineapple. It's the bomb. Honestly, it's so good.
I've got to have some of that. I've got to get
where you
some.
can get it. I just got it in a little gourmet shop in Townsville. So anyway, getting sidetracked.
Right.
But the thing is with sauces and spices and things like that, you can actually change the taste and the variety of what you're having, but you've still got control of those individual elements.
Absolutely. And the world of spices, you've really opened my mind to that, because not being a person that's enjoyed cooking immensely, and I do very targeted shopping. I go into the grocery shop, I hate it, and I'm like down the aisle. I never look at different things. I never look at, so if you say, try this spice, or in the program you'll put something up for all of us, and I'll go, oh, okay. So I'll look it up in Woolies, and I'll find out where it is, what I
Yep.
and I'll go directly to that. And honestly, it's great. I've learned
online shopping, Tracey. Are you not doing online shopping? I love online shopping.
I do the online shopping as well. Occasionally I'll get a bit out of control with the online shopping and won't have done it, or realize that we've run out of things quicker than I thought, or whatever. But yeah, the online shopping is fantastic. I love it. It's the way to go. Yeah. But again, when I think about it, this way to eat and it's actually quite creative. You can be very creative.
Yep.
The things that I can do with chicken now, I would never have thought about. The things that I can do with steak now, I would never have thought about. And seafood and things. Yeah, it's really great. And I really enjoy those foods. I really enjoy them because I feel good. And because if I eat that today, tomorrow when I'm in that gym, man, can I let loose?
Yeah.
It's brilliant.
So your whole gym journey, let's talk a little bit about your gym journey. So we learned about packing your nutrition around your training. And that was really empowering. And I have to say, I loved watching you when you were in that recomp phase of just like, let's build some muscle, like I could see how empowered you felt. And as you changed your nutrition up, how it supported that. Then we hit a fat loss phase. And unfortunately, in a fat loss, look, fat loss phases are hard. They are challenging, and training just does not feel as good. When Tracey talks about the addiction of training, it's that feeling of power, that feeling of accomplishment, that feeling of that one more rep, that one more kilo. And you quickly can't do that in a deficit.
No.
But if we train too hard in a deficit, the idea of a deficit is all we want to do is maintain muscle. And actually maintaining muscle is a lot easier than building. You just have to lift the same weights for the same reps every week. Keep telling your muscles, I need you at this place. Because if we try and continue to get PBs when we've not got enough to support that training, what happens, Tracey?
Well, you fry. You get fried in the gym. So for the last, 4 or 5 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks maybe, I've been in this deficit, which isn't a huge deficit. It's only an 1,800 calorie, what is that,
400 calories down.
400 calorie deficit from what I was on. But, as I've said, once I learned how to use things in the gym, I became quite... It's like a personal challenge. It's great. You get in there and it just feels great. So especially when you get on the machines the right way around, that was a challenge learning in the beginning, because
we've had some learning experiences in learning to
look at it like, what are you? And then okay. Whoops, I'm either on the wrong machine, or I'm sitting on it round the wrong way, or I'm using it completely incorrectly. But anyway, we got all through all of that. But once I began to grow muscle and feel strong and my weight's increased, that addiction just has kicked in. So when I'm in a deficit, so this week and all through this deficit, you tried to help guide me through with a very reorganizing how my tracking for my gym was, and, putting it in, but I didn't quite understand. And so I think
slight miscommunication with us.
Yes, slight miscommunication. So for the last umpteen weeks since I've been in this cut, I have gone in and I've been trying to hold my PB weights. And when I've had to drop, maybe 5 kilos, I've been really pissed off.
I feel you.
So because I've dropped 5 kilos or 10 kilos, oh my God, it's terrible. I then saw that I needed to, I thought, do 3 sets. So I've been merrily holding 3 sets through
to failure, and that's to failure. Like you're not
to
just
failure for
not
3
just pumping
sets.
out a couple of reps. It's to failure.
To failure. So I've been holding those weights through sheer bloody willpower. And I'm sure, I've had people watching me at the gym, going, oh, trying
So
to.
essentially, by doing that third set to failure, you were doing more volume and just more than what you were in building. We're trying to.
Yeah, apparently so.
It didn't go well this week. Ended up in a hole.
No. So then this week, so I should have known the sign because 2 weeks ago I started to feel really tired and like I couldn't. Normally I go every second day, so then I started to go every 3 times a week instead of 4 times a week. And I just thought, oh, I must be tired, maybe I'm not sleeping, blah, blah, blah. And it all culminated this week where I went in, did a big round of deadlifts, did single, big, heavy leg presses, single leg presses. And in the gym, my energy literally just went. And actually, I didn't think I'd get home. I didn't think I'd be able to drive home. I just was so shaky, so confused in my brain, felt so awful. So I got home and I just thought, right, I've got low blood sugar, I need to eat. Nothing would fix it, nothing. I ate, of course I'm being, very careful. I'm eating my little blah, blah, whatever it was, lunch and this and that and everything else did not help.
Now just not enough for recovery, especially when you're in a deficit.
Until in the evening, I had a whopper popper headache. And I got up at midnight and I was just so hungry. I got into the cupboard and I don't know why, because I wasn't thinking, 2 pieces of bread with butter, which was good, and a handful of sultanas.
It's just like, give me food.
So this is what sultanas like that.
When people talk about I've got no control around sugar and I've got no self-control, I think this is a really good example of it's actually not you. Like people see that big failing. This is because you aren't fueling your body. Now, whether it's just because in general you've been chronically under-eating or you've been overtraining, either way, you haven't fueled your body for what you need, and it drives cravings. And yeah, you just had whatever you could, including sultanas.
So thankfully yesterday we had a good talk about this.
Yep.
And I had
clarified what Tracey should be doing in the gym.
And I was going to go to the gym yesterday, until you told me not to.
You need to recover. So we got a bit of a refeed strategy and just put some rest in for Tracey and she'll go back to it. How are you feeling today?
Much better. But, it took all day yesterday, all day of eating up to 2100, introducing more good carbs and the whole thing, just as we discussed. I thought, by lunchtime I'll feel better. It took the whole day until last night when I finally had my last bit of chocolate before bed, and it took all day. So when you fry, it's not good. And
there is more to a deficit than just cutting your calories.
Absolutely, much more.
You've got to be strategic so you can continue to function through it. And what we're doing with you is nutrition, because there's a longer phase for you because of where your weight was at and where we need to get your body fat down to. So yes, building the muscle, but in between we're doing nutrition periodization is what it's referred to, but we're doing targeted times of fat loss phases But in between, we bring you out of that and we bring you back up to maintenance, and you have a period of building. Now, for you, your periodization is going to be more frequently because your body fat's been higher, and that's going to be a longer journey for you. But depending on where you're at to how often you do that, it's not about being in a fat loss phase or in a deficit permanently.
No, not at all. And the first time we went into a fat loss phase, I found it quite challenging, very, very challenging. After being able to have permission to feed my body, to feel good, to lift well, the first fat loss phase, and particularly the whole non-performance in the gym stuff, really did my head in.
It's a real mental game, isn't it?
Very much.
You talk about the permission to feel your body, how hard it was to then reverse from that, particularly when you've all of a sudden learned what it feels like to truly feel good. Yeah, I used to think I felt good. I wasn't a chronic dieter or anything like that. And I was always very health conscious, but it still didn't fuel my body quite right. And I thought I actually felt good. And when you actually find out that you can feel even better, to lose that is it's actually quite a challenge. So I think the first time people go through these things, trying to do them on your own with that, like even me in the deficit I've just done with Craig, it was a big one. I nearly pulled the pin twice on that. Yeah. He took me off the ledge. It's okay. And I'm a coach and I've done fat loss phases before, and it's challenging on the mindset.
It's hugely challenging in your mindset. This time I've had a much better expectation and a different mindset. And I think part of my issue in the gym, where it's all culminated this week, is it's been a little bit of, it's okay, this is only for a short period of time, suck it up, you'll be fine. Yeah. And I've been really having that conversation with myself, and I've been a bit, oh, woe is me, and God, I'm hungry, or whatever it might be. Have a cup of tea, sit down. Where are you at? Where am I at in my daily food plan? And I do plan ahead, and I've got my snacks. And then I realized a couple of things this time, that I can't, there's no point in fluffing around with my food. If these snacks work and they fit in the deficit, that's it. So I've got the same snacks, and the other day we were going out, so I piled them into a little esky with my little, brick, and I took all my snacks with me and ate them all, and it was all good. And
it's not forever.
Travel with.
Yeah. So when you're in a fat loss phase, that's when you want to be really specific. I think people get this whole sustain. What you're doing is sustainable, and I've heard you. We might touch on that in a little bit, but heard you talk about you now know what to do. But it's whilst you're still trying to get to those, you will absolutely be in a place where you get to where you go, you're now just maintaining, you feel good about your body, and you've actually learned the skills and you know what to do. So if the weight creeps up, you know when to pull it back, you know how to do that. But being in a deficit, you need to get specific. You don't have as much flexibility. And if you've gotten to a place where your health and your body composition need correcting, you have to understand that there's got to be some compromise there to begin with.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's what we tend to try and fluff over in the world of dieting, so to speak. So, there's a lot of companies out there, and I won't mention any names, but it's all about, well, if you can't have this one, you can trade it for that, or you can trade it for this, or you can have all sorts of different things. But you're essentially having to create a deficit and burn your fat and stay strong and healthy. I think a lot of the keto stuff, is if you talk to any of the nutritional professors, around the world, they say it's all doing the same thing. It's all just different ways.
It's just creating a deficit because it shortens your window of eating.
Yeah, but I fell for this too. I thought that there was some magical, wonderful metabolic changing way of eating that would actually make my body burn fat faster. But in fact, it's not. And all it did was, I think, actually, I probably lost a lot of muscle and maybe
Very
even
stressful on the body, and high
very
cortisol
stressful.
eats away at your muscle.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, I can see how we get sucked into these things and we don't sort of totally accept that in this period of time, and this is what I've loved about this, we make a decision to do it from here to here. These are the calories. I make out my menu, my meals, what I'm going to be eating. And I've learned now that that's the way it is. And if I hadn't have fried myself in the gym and had to have a refeed day and have a munch in the cupboard on a pile of sultanas, for goodness sake, I probably, I've kind of derailed this a little bit through being ignorant of that. But I've learnt. And so it's not a big deal because, so what? It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, I don't think it's going to make a huge
It's actually not going to make a huge difference.
And, when I come out next week and I'm on that plane on my holiday and going to wonderful Foodland, Japan, it'll be great. But when I get back, I know that through the winter we're planning to go again, and this time we'll plan a bit longer, and it'll be terrific. It's okay, it's okay. But I think it's being honest and really looking at it and knowing that it's okay because it's a short period of time and I can do this. And I am actually in control and I've made the decision to do it. And I know it's not, black witchcraft or anything, it's not woo, it's not strange. There's no metabolic tricks. Your body will do what it will do. And that's the way it is. So
that's so awesome. And I love the way that you're like, you're in control, you make decisions. So I think, so we've spoken about your nutrition and your training. I've heard you speak about it before, and I'd love for you to speak about it now, about the skills that you're learning and the confidence you already feel when we've obviously got a plan and we want to get you to where we're going to go and we're going to do that together. But you're already talking about how you feel about when you come out, because you've not just done 3 months, you've been through a recomp, you've been through fat loss, you've been through build, you've done life with traveling, really stressful life circumstances like loss of loved ones, all those sorts of things. And you've managed your health and nutrition and training. You've had that help to manage all that, and how you feel about on the other side of this journey when you get to where you want to be, how empowering that feels for you.
Oh, unbelievably empowering. In fact, even now, right now, I think I spoke to you this week. I was in a situation this week where because I was getting tired, I gave in. I had to go out with people, and we were at somebody else's house. We had pizza. I ate pizza. Like, it's one of my trigger foods, blah, blah. Anyway, I ate it. Okay, got over it. The thing about that was, normally when I'm in a cut, I would take my food, and that's a strategy where I can be in control. And normally I would have taken, my chicken or my steak or whatever, or taken a steak and cooked it at their house or whatever it might have been, but I have little strategies now where I know, and it's so empowering that I can do that. But because I was tired, I actually couldn't. It was the thing of, sometimes when I do that, people want to know, well, what are you doing? Oh my gosh, you're looking better. What are you doing? But then I get everybody else's ideas of how to lose weight, and the latest diet and the latest wisdom and blah, 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 blah. And
it makes me laugh because it's usually coming from people that aren't making it work.
Exactly. Exactly. And anyway, this particular day, I just succumbed because it was actually that I couldn't deal with that day. It wasn't, I knew if I went, there'd be lots of questions, there'd be lots of discussion, and I didn't want that. Just couldn't go there. But that was a step forward for me to even realize that was
the realization and the lesson learned. And you haven't beaten yourself up about it. You've come home and you've gone, okay, it is what it is. moving forward. And you haven't had a lot of these moments. There has been moments in the process, because the process isn't linear, and it's about just getting straight back on track, not throwing the baby out with the bathwater, getting back on track, knowing that you can do it, and just being that 1% better next time you're in that situation.
Yeah, that's exactly right. It's just acknowledging, reflecting, thinking about it. Okay, well, that's what happened. It happened not because I wasn't organized. I had my meals. I could have taken stuff. It wasn't about that. I just didn't want to have those conversations. So that's a really good step forward for me. Yeah. It's really empowering now to know when I go out, I don't have to succumb to everybody's anything. I can be who I want to be, physically, emotionally, professionally, who I am. I don't have to actually succumb to anything by anybody else. And I have the tools to do it. And that's through working with you.
And the energy. You talk about that energy. In the minute, because you fried yourself in the gym, you didn't have the energy for that. You were back in a place of not permanent ill health, but it was almost like being back in that place before you did this. And you don't have the emotional capacity to deal with those situations. You know, even like dealing with your teenagers or whatever it is, it's so much harder to deal with difficult situations when you don't have capacity. So you fuel yourself, you feel better, you feel stronger and feel more capable to deal with it. It literally, nutrition and training literally infiltrates your whole life.
Yeah, it's completely empowering, completely 100% empowering. Yeah. Every piece of it is empowering because I can think clearer, I can plan better, because I have the energy to do it, and I can enjoy life. I know that when we go to Japan, we like to walk. We travel really lightly. We walk a lot. We'll be doing 15,000, 20,000 steps a day, and I know I can do it now. I know I can do it. Yeah. Whereas before, oh my gosh, I would not have done it. I would not have had the strength to do that. Yeah. It's just so wonderful. And I know, it's no big deal. My granddaughter, she's 12. She says, Grandma, can you come on the bus with me? We'll go down here, we'll go there, we'll go shopping, we'll do this. So rather than taking the car, I'll walk up to the bus stop, hop on the bus, and 15,000 steps later, at the end of the day, we've had a great day. She's exhausted, I'm exhausted, but hey, it was fun.
You weren't dragging yourself through it, that you actually get the ability to enjoy the moment because you're not feeling crap.
Yeah. And when she says, oh, let's walk up to look at this shop. Oh, look, Mecca's down there. We're going to Mecca. Oh, look at this, look at that. Like, yeah, hell yeah. Okay, yeah, let's do it. In fact, I can outwalk her.
Beautiful. I love that.
So it's wonderful.
Well, thank you very much for sharing your journey. I tell you what, it has been an absolute pleasure watching your journey, and I feel very privileged to be part of that with you, and I'm excited about what's to come, and you're looking fabulous already. So keep an eye on my page, people, on Instagram at strengthtraining.nutritionist, because there will be more updates on Tracey as she goes through her journey as well. And as always, share this podcast if you found something worth taking away from. Share it on Instagram and tag me at strengthtraining.nutritionist.